thought about it a little bit. I'm going to tell you my story. What seems most important to me about my life, looking back on it from today. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it was like when I was young, a couple of important things that happened to me along the way, and talk about my life now and what's important to me. Like a lot of people, growing up was difficult for me. I grew up in a very violent and chaotic home, and it wasn't safe, and I felt afraid and alone a lot as a little kid. My family ultimately broke up, and we were on various forms of public assistance. This had a dramatic impact on me, a lot of negative impacts, as you would imagine, but it also seemed to develop some characteristics and makeups in me that actually have helped me in my life. As I grew, sports became a very important part of my life. I was always pretty athletic, really loved competition, and started to enjoy the attention that came along with doing well. I particularly started to thrive when I started getting the attention of male role models from coaches. And this seemed to really drive me and feed my spirit. And I really believe that it helped determine, to a large extent, the course of my life. I had the good fortune of having coaches in my life, sports coaches, who understood that valuable life lessons could be learned through participation in sports. Things like, committing to something, working hard and practicing toward a goal, being part of a team, not giving up. Things that I had probably heard about, but never really understood and never really owned, myself. I ended up going to college. I met my wife in college, and that brings me to what is probably the most important part of my life. And the best part of my life is my family. My wife and I today have 3 teenage daughters. The specifics of the teenage daughters I'm going to leave for the comedy speech. I will say, though, that my family is equal parts love, fear, some chaos, joy that can bring me to the point of tears, but it's been an incredible learning experience. Never mind that. I've learned a lot about myself and about life through my family. I am fortunate enough to work in the IT industry. I'm in the sales and business development part of the IT industry. It's a blessing to do the kind of work I do. Very, very challenging, can be very difficult. The last few years have been difficult. But it's also very satisfying and rewarding. I work alongside very talented, brilliant engineers, and I typically have a seat at the table, and I play a very important part in the business. So it is a blessing, and in the last 15 years, the IT industry's been incredible. The last thing I'd like to say, though, an important part of my life today is giving back. I'm a spiritual person, and that's an important part of who I am and how I want to be in the world. I, through the course of my life, have been fed spiritually. I've done a lot of seeking and learning and healing, and I continue to do so. I'm at a point where, and have been at a point where, I can and want to feed others, to give back a little bit. And there are a couple of different ways I do this, but probably the single most important way I do this is I coach football for 14-year-old boys in my town. And in many ways, this is absolutely what I was built to do. And part of me feels like this should have been what I did with my life's work. But I do it as a community thing today. I teach, I don't focus a lot on winning. We make the goals having fun, improving, and each individual kid improving where he begins, not how he compares to a teammate, but we work on each individual guy getting better. And the third goal we lay out is to be competitive. And I say competitive instead of winning because I celebrate and really emphasize and encourage the effort and not necessarily worrying about the result. But the single most important thing that I think that I teach my players, or I really commit to teaching, I start early in the season telling them this. I do it all season long, and I don't stop pumping them with this one message. How we respond when things go bad is really important. And the lesson I'm teaching is through football, but it's really about life. 14-year-olds make a lot of mistakes, like human beings do. But with my help and encouragement, I like to think that the kids I'm working with, when they make a mistake or when things just don't go well, we take a minute and let them gather themselves. If they've lost their temper or whatever it is, they take a minute, take a deep breath, get a drink of water, take a few minutes. They trust me and they respect me enough to listen, and I'll refocus them and I'll tell them that this is the moment we were talking about. This is the moment, so we need to put it behind us, gather ourselves. We've got to learn what we can, and most importantly, re-engage. Get back in it. And the it in this is football, but the reality is, to me, I believe this in my heart, it's really just about life. Next to being a husband and a father, that's probably the most important thing that I do in my life. That's it, right on time. Thank you.